Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Awakening Together, Relaxing into Happiness. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. And I want to ask, this live podcast is designed to support the other podcasts and/or your awakening process. So I wonder if you have any questions about what you've been going through, or perhaps the types of meditations that you are doing. Hi, Len. Thank you. So glad to see you. Any kind of question, really. We can talk about it. And your questions will guide how our podcast goes. Good morning, Kate. Good to see you all. Thanks for joining. So, do you all have any questions that come to you right now? If not, I can talk a little bit, but when you have a question, just type it in because that gives us something to talk about. What else are we doing, right? But while you're thinking about your questions, I'd like to talk about trust. Because in the end, awakening is about trust. Hey, but before I talk about that, Lynn has asked a good question, and I want to give preference to the questions. Lynn says, I'm curious if you can talk more about your talks with angels and Jesus. Sure. Let me give you the brief version, and perhaps you have specific questions. But what I like about our podcasts and about you all is we're all in the same boat. I'm just like you, you're just like me. So imagine this. This was somewhere around 1997. I'm a psychotherapist. I was in Austin, where I lived for 28 years. And I had a number of doctors referring their patients to me, and I worked mainly with anxiety. Every morning I would go for a jog in the nearby park, and at the end of the jog I would just drip water on my head. I don't know why. It was just a thing, almost like a baptism, washing clean. There was a stream in the park, and I would just scoop up some water and drip it on my head, and then I would meditate a little bit. Done that for years and years and years. So here I am, just normally doing what I always did. And when I dripped the water on my head, after I dripped it on the head, I would kind of do the sign of a cross on my chest, and I would tap my heart at the end. I just made that up. I don't know why. I'm close to Jesus, or I felt that in my heart. So I suppose that's why I did it. It just felt good. But I wasn't, only a Christian, or an only a this or an only a that. But I did all this. I touched my heart, and bam, instantly my legs went out from underneath me. I passed out and fell into the water. That was so strange. And there were rocks, and my knees were bloody, and when I woke up, I was kind of banged up, but I was okay. And so, since that was so unusual, and I couldn't figure out what it was, it's either that I fainted, or it was a spiritual thing that happened. And I wasn't used to having spiritual things happen to me. At the moment, I can't recall ever having a spiritual thing happen to me. So I'm just an ordinary psychotherapist jogging in the park. I had a spiritual practice that I'd been doing for years and years and years, and I'd change it up as I needed to, just like we've talked about in the podcast. And this was way before India. This was in 1997. I went to India in 2004. So I did it again. I just scooped up water, dripped it on my head, and did the sign of the cross on my chest, just thinking, well, I probably fainted, but if it was something spiritual, I was kind of daring it, like, let's see it again. Boom! I went straight down again, and I was prepared for it the second time. First time, totally surprised. Second time, I was prepared for it. Still went down. Stayed fairly conscious. So what would you do? I did it a third time. Boom, 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 boom. Boom! I went down a third time, but this time I caught myself halfway down. I was really prepared. I caught myself. That was strange, and I was just mulling that over. And then, I had to get to work. So you don't have time to delve into a working person. So just like you all, I just went to my house and I took a shower, and I just didn't have much time to think about it. Worked, went to my psychotherapy office and worked the day. And then that night I was speaking at this big expo. I think it was called the Whole Life Expo. And I was one of the speakers that you could see for free, a little guy. I worked a lot with hypnosis in those days. And anyway, and I did a lot of mind-body healing and stuff like that, interactions. And so I was speaking on mind-body. Some friends came. I helped them find a hotel. I did not know they would be there. They came from Colorado. And I helped them find a hotel. We stayed up and talked. There were two of them, and we stayed up and talked. I hadn't seen them for a while. And really until I did not mean this to happen, but we talked till about 5 a.m, just catching up. Time got away. The next morning, I wanted to go to the Whole Life Expo and listen to some of the bigger name people. Now I could participate. I spoke the night before, and now I could participate and listen. So I went, and there was like 10,000 people there. So that's what I was going to do. But because I went to bed so late, I was really angry because I wanted to see the very first speaker, and I had a whole lineup that I wanted to see. But the very first speaker was, Julia, I can't remember her name at the moment, but she wrote a book, Artist Way, and it was about journaling. And I really was doing a lot of journaling. I had a lot of stuff inside to journal. So I was very upset that I stayed up so late, and I tried to go to bed, but I was so angry about staying up so late that I couldn't sleep. So I got up and I started journaling, typing on my computer, journaling on my computer. I'm angry, I'm angry, I'm angry. Just like I had done for years. I'm angry, I'm just getting it out. I'm angry, I'm this, I'm that, angry. And suddenly, my fingers started typing back. No, you're fine. I said, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. I'm angry, I'm angry. That's what I was typing. And it said, no, you're fine. You're not tired. You're fine. And, I didn't, yes, Patricia, Julia Cameron. Yes, Artist Way. So I was, I didn't know what to make of all this. Like, was I making this up in my mind? Just what any of you would think, right? I never had this happen. Total surprise, more surprise. And frankly, I'd kind of forgotten about the fainting. I mean, I knew I did it, or the spiritual energy that went through me at the stream and the park. It was just such a busy day. And I went to work, I went to speak. I had like 100, 200 people. I had to be, that's a bit taxing. And then my friends. So I just didn't have time to process a whole lot. So I didn't quite put it together, really. This just started happening. You're not tired. You're not tired. I'm with you. It's fine. And then this thing going on inside of me. It was this back and forth on the computer. I'm tired. No, you're not. And this and that. And I want to go to this. This was all, Lynn asked, was this before or after you went to India? This was a long time before. This was 7 years before. Long time. So I heard this voice inside. It says, you don't have to type and have this go back and forth through typing. We'll just talk to you inside of you. You don't have to be typing. Just go get ready to see Julia Cameron. Just go take a shower, get ready. You gotta go. We'll work on you this morning as you're getting ready and as you're going. We'll work on you. We're opening you up. This is what I'm hearing inside of me. So, I'm getting ready, and this voice is going on inside of me, and I'm talking to it now. And I don't know what to make of it. And it really, frankly, makes me a little nervous because it starts to tell me what's going to happen during the day. You're going to see Julia Cameron. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. You're going to get a front row seat. Now, there's like 10,000 people, right? I have a general admission. That's not happening. This thing made me so nervous because I already didn't know what to make of it, and now it's telling me future stuff, and I'm thinking if this future stuff doesn't happen, I'm going to be totally messed up in my head. I mean, because I don't even know that I trust it to start with. So I said this. I said, don't tell me any more about the future. Don't do that, because it's going to mess me up if it doesn't happen. And this, whatever it was, said back to me, that's fine. That's part of the process. You know, we're going to do that, and some of it will be correct and some of it won't. That's part of the actual process of opening you up. I didn't know what to make about it. I have a perspective now, but not then. And as I was going along, I remember being by the sink. Maybe I was brushing my teeth, and so we're talking about what's going to happen today, and I'm saying don't do it and all that. And I'm brushing my teeth, and then suddenly I hear, oh, Jesus says to say hi. Just like that. I did not know. I just laughed because it was so crazy. Out of left field. Oh, Jesus says to say hi. I said, what? I said, what does Jesus have to do with this? I mean, I really was baffled. And this voice says, you were his friend before he was famous. Now, that's when I started laughing. That just caught me by so much surprise. I didn't even, that was crazy. So then as the conversation went on, whatever was in my head, it was like two people in one body, me and this other, whatever it was, said, your office in your house, clear it out. You have 3 weeks, put in an oriental rug, make an altar. That needs to be a spiritual room. I mean, this was my office in my house. Get rid of it. It needs to be a spiritual room. And very specific. Do this, do this, do that, do this. Well, what would you do? I mean, I did it. I went and got a rug, and it wasn't any kind of, it had to be maroon. It had to, and I'm not saying this is anything but just what was happening, what I needed, I guess. So I asked, well, who are you? I'm Michael. That was it. I didn't know Michael from anybody, and I just thought maybe it was some entity called Michael, just like something. I had no idea. And that was it. I went for the next 3 weeks. I got a rug, a maroon rug, an altar, all that. And I started meditating in the room. Now, another strange thing, I was out with a friend just having dinner, and a bunch of Tibetan monks came in to the restaurant, a whole bunch of them. And this friend went over and said, who are you and what? And these were monks real Tibetan monks that were on a tour through the United States, and they were making mandala, those sand mandalas, and chanting and doing doing cultural programs and a whole big thing. Anyway, they just happened to come in, and she talks to them, and they say, we need a place for us to stay. We have more monks than we have a place to stay. Do you know in any place? And she took some at her house. There was a leftover monk, said, can he stay with you? I said, yes, because I couldn't say no. I mean, sure. Well, guess where he stayed? He stayed in that room, and he set up the altar, and he got one of those white scarves they give you, and he put it around the altar, and he would meditate in there, and other things happened, but I'll skip those for now because this is getting a bit long, I realize. Okay, so the monk eventually, he left. They continued their travels, and we're still within the 3-week period, and I'm meditating in the room on my own. And then one day I'm meditating, it's in the evening, and I hear, Jesus wants to come talk to you. Is that okay? Yes, it's okay. And the other Len, there are two Lens, it says, looks like there are two Lens here. I love that story. Trust is what I need now. Love your story. Needed this. Well, I'll get back to trust in a minute. And I know hopefully this story builds some trust too, in addition. But so I said, okay, Jesus comes. Now here's how it worked. Again, totally new to this. Did not understand anything. But apparently Jesus came into my body just like Michael had been in my body. And the way the communication happened, it's like two beings using one nervous system, using one body. So I could feel everything Jesus was feeling, and Jesus could feel everything I was feeling. I could hear everything Jesus was saying. Jesus could hear everything that I'm saying. We're all in the same body, using everything the same. So we have full access to each other. The experience was Jesus said I'm going to use words that don't make much sense because he was in my body, but it felt like he was coming up to me, embracing me, and just like I was his best friend in the world. And like he was going, oh, it's been so long since I've seen you. What have you been up to? Now, as an aside, I feel like everybody has that experience. It wasn't like I'm the special one. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what all of us would experience when Jesus comes to you. He came to me and he says, oh, what have you been doing? It's been so long. And he just embraced me and so much love. And when he asked, what have you been doing? My life went before my eyes very fast. You hear like before you die, your life flashes before your eyes. Well, my life flashed before my eyes. Just very fast. Like, what have you been doing? Well, now he could see. He shared my life with me. My whole life went forward. And he just was delighted. Oh. Now, that would sound okay, but in real life, when that happens, what surprised me was suddenly all the things also that I wasn't proud of popped up in the midst of all the rest. My whole life did. The embarrassing things and the good things. Well, I was embarrassed, and you try to stop. No. No, you can't. It just flashes in front of your your eyes. And Jesus experienced everything. Now, what stunned me is when an embarrassing thing came up, he just would laugh so hard. Like, what were you thinking? That's hilarious. Now, I never got the picture of Jesus as a big laugher, good sense of humor, and total no judgment. It was just laughing. He didn't care. There was no judgment. Oh, that's a sin. No, just laughing. What were you thinking? Like two college buddies that had done something, or one of them had done it and told the other one, and you're just laughing, and you knew it wasn't the thing to do. I mean, in the laughter and the non-judgment, you're laughing because it really wasn't the thing to do, right? But it's hilarious that you would do it. That was what the laughter was, but it was no judgment. Laughing and laughing and laughing. And when that finished, he said, you know, you're no different than I am. Now, that's kind of stunning. I mean, what do you mean? I'm no different. What do you mean? Well, he says, I'll show you. He got, when a long time ago in schools, I don't know if they do it now, they had overhead projectors and you put like a clear thing on top with maybe an image and it shines onto a screen. That kind of appeared inside of me, one of those things, and it had a picture of a nervous system with like 6 dots on it. And there was an overlay, which was his nervous system, and it was completely clear. And he put one on top of the other. At first it was down, and then mine went on top with the dots. 4 to 6 dots, I don't remember. And it was a little string of them, and the dots were about as big as like a pencil lead, like pink, not very big, but just dots. And he said, that's the only difference. You have these dots, call them obstructions. Here in this world, they seem so big, right? Our obstructions seem so big. But with spiritual eyes, they're just little dots. Things get magnified in this world for us to work on them. We can see them. I mean, they are intense, right? They're so intense. But they're just little dots. in the universal, just little dots that we have come here to release. That's called awakening, right? That's what awakening is. You just let go all this manufactured stuff and clear. He said, you just need to let go of those dots. Then we're the same. It was very encouraging in a sense, but he never said how to let it go. He just said, you need to. That's it. He didn't say, no instruction. You notice in the Bible, there's not much instruction. But he didn't write the Bible. It was written 40 years after he lived. He wasn't even a Christian. He was just Jesus. But then I just felt incredible love afterwards. Just intense, incredible love. And it was so intense, my nervous system, remember we're both in the same nervous system, really, it wore me out. And it went on for some time. It just wore me out. And then he said, I need to leave now. And I had mixed feelings. I mean, I was actually kind of happy he was leaving because I couldn't take anymore. It was just too much. I couldn't take it anymore. Lynn asked, did this happen during a time when you needed him most? Here's the strange thing, Lynn. No. Let me put it this way. My whole life was painful. So I guess I needed him most my whole life. And back then also painful. So yeah, I guess so in that way. But was anything different other than the pain I felt the day before, the year before, or the decade before, or the decade before? No. Was I praying no. I really didn't. This was honestly out of the blue. Yeah, it was out of the blue. Jesus is with everybody all the time. The problem is we block out, and there's nothing mysterious about it. Life is very natural, which, hey, by the way, brings us back to the topic of trust that you were asking about, Lynn. Awakening and trust are kind of the same thing, but you can't jump straight to trust. Like, yeah, I want to trust, and now I'm going to be trusting right now, today. I'm making a decision. No. I mean, yes, you want to make a start somewhere. So yeah, you make a decision. Sure, that's fine. But don't expect you're going to be a pro at it. Because what happens is you take one step forward, and it's like rings of a tree. The first ring comes up for healing, and then the second, and the third, and that goes on until you get to the core, and that's pure trust. Every ring that you go in, you feel more trusting on some level, more settled. But you still have great doubts because there are all these other rings that still you haven't even gone to. You may not even know they exist, really, yet. You just feel the pain. You feel like, I'm not getting anywhere, is what it feels like. It feels bad. That's awakening. And in these podcasts, as I lay them out, I'm giving you my best shot at some helpful things that will help you melt through these rings. But it's good to know, and I'm not saying to believe it. I'm only encouraging people to believe those things that you have a direct experience. It's your truth. You feel it. You see it. It's in your bones. There's no doubt. Believe that. That's what I'm saying, believe. But you got to start somewhere. And I like in the Bible where a guy comes up to Jesus and his son needs healing. And he asks Jesus, can you heal my son? And Jesus says, can I heal your son? He says, I can if you have faith. And the man says, he's desperate. That son needs healing. He says, I have faith. And then he says, help my unfaith. I have faith, help my unfaith. I have belief, help my unbelief, depending on what translation you read. Isn't that all of us? And I'm not talking about a religious thing. Neither was Jesus. Remember, he was not a Christian. He was not at all. He's just telling you a truth. What is faith? You can't, I remember when I was in theological school, I researched that a lot. And one of my courses, that was one of the things. We went back into the Greek and we looked. And I took it much further because the professor was wanting to make it one thing. And I was very skeptical. And I did not buy it. The only thing that made sense to me in the end was when I 7, 8, 9 years later, started going to India and reading literature. And I'm not saying India has all the answers or the only answers, but this is what happened to me. And I learned about direct experience. When you experience something, you can't doubt it. When you know, like I can't doubt my Jesus story because it happened to me. That's my direct experience. I would expect you to doubt it. I'm just a guy, whatever. Maybe you go, well, it sounds kind of credible, but it's very unusual. So it's not your direct experience, but it's something. My story is something. My guru in India he said, start telling people your miracles and stories because it might encourage them not to rule it out and be so blocked that they push away Jesus when he comes to you, or anything else that comes to you. Tell them, and then they can open up a little bit. So in that spirit, I give you my story, but back to trust, I'm in an odd place right now. Anything that blocks you from, as I've gone through my own rings of the tree, I'm down. I can tell because I can see you in my talks. You see, I see things. I feel things. This has happened gradually as the different rings have melted off of the tree, and I've gotten closer to the center. Those are my direct experiences, and I say them to encourage you. They will happen to you as well, and are, wherever your ring is. As I've gotten closer and closer, I can see. Clearer, clearer, clearer. Well, now I'm right there in the middle somewhere, or close to it. Let's say close to it, not in the middle, but close to it. And the thing that prevents total trust, and I'm getting there. By getting there, I mean I'm not blocking myself out. You kind of have to relax into it, ring by ring by ring. Every time you relax into one ring, you feel a little bit more relaxed and open. And then again and again and again. Deeper, deeper, deeper. But now I go through periods of the day where there's total trust, but it flickers back and forth, trust. And then there will be an emotion that blocks it. And that emotion is some kind of worry or doubt, right? And here's what happens when you worry, and then I feel, if you feel anything but peace, love, and joy, whatever that other feeling is, you know that's not you. It's a thing that you could let go of. And worry is not peace, love, and joy. Or the feeling like I have to do something, the universe won't do it, therefore I have to do it. It's on my shoulders. So you push yourself, you get anxious. I better do this, I better do that, I better be efficient, I better do, But that's not peace, love, and joy. So in the moments where I am in total trust, I don't have that. I'm trusting the universe to do everything. That takes a lot. When you really have the direct experience of that, it will do everything because the universe is me. So it serves me because it is me. It serves itself. And you, and you, and you, and you. All of us. That's the truth. But you don't know that truth. I don't know that truth until you get there. You just hear about it. You read about it. You wonder about it. Seems unlikely. No, if I don't do this, it's not going to get done. Nobody becomes an astronaut by sitting on the couch and praying about it. Get up and do something. Well, there's a truth there too. With most spiritual things, everything kind of is true. So, is the universe really going to do everything? Yep. And at the same time, I'm part of the universe. Right? So are you. So we'll call it intuition. Suddenly I'm jumping off of the couch, mowing the lawn, or doing something, or going to the store, or I get a lot done. But not because I have to do it. Now, when I do it because I get a lot done, not because I have to do it, but because I am doing it. If that makes sense. I'm not working. Working is happening through me. Intuition is an automatic flow of the infinite through me, through you, through all of us. So it kind of works that way. You have a game change, some kind of internal change where instead of becoming the doer, you just sort of are the expression, maybe. And you're doing, but you're not doing. You read about that stuff in Zen stuff, the doer who doesn't do, or all that, the non-doer. It's true. Yet your body is doing, if that makes any sense. So in trust, as I get closer to that center, if I notice a worry, a compulsion, a thing that I have to do something, maybe I do it anyway because there's not time to bicker with myself and get it all straightened out. But as I can through the day, even when I'm doing things, I just let that worry, I put my attention there and I watch it. Even as it's happening, I watch it, just like you do in meditation. Meditation trains you for what to do in real life. I watch it. I let it breathe. I let it look around and notice, wow, what a beautiful world I'm in. You see all the joy and you feel it and the peace and the trees and the birds and people. And that's very relaxing to this inner part of this worry. And when worry relaxes, it's not worry anymore. It evaporates. It's gone. It turns into trust. That energy turns into trust. So that's how it works for me. Now, the part of me that is worrying before it dissolves away, I discovered it's very important for that part to breathe in, just what I was referring to a moment ago, to actually take in and enjoy. If you can't enjoy, how can you be love, peace, and bliss? Because love, peace, and bliss is enjoyment itself going through my body. So all of me receives the infinite. You have to be a good receiver. And that worry part can receive. It must receive. It must look around and update its file. Remember, it's all worried because it remembers when you were a kid and nothing got done and you had to do it, and it still thinks that's the way it is. It got hypnotized, basically. When you do something over and over and over, that becomes a hypnotic suggestion. And after a while, you begin to think that's the way the world is. It's not, but that's what you think. That's what I think, or have thought. So by breathing in, you break the hypnotic spell. You look around and go, wow, life is good. And as you relax, those rings of the tree dissolve, and then you become more and more intuitive, and then you know you are cared for. You know the universe loves you. Not because you can't think your way into that. Philosophy is not good for that. Because philosophy is built on a mind that doesn't know. The mind is built on separation. And at the heart of the separation is hurt, fear, and anger. And so existential angst and unknowing and doubt, and you try to solve it through the same mind that's feeling it, doesn't work. Only through intuition can you know. Now, at first, that might seem, I'm referring to myself back in the day, that might seem disheartening because I was so blocked. But it's not. Everything's perfect. You just do one step at a time and move forward. Just wherever you are is perfect. Which step? The next obvious step. I don't see one right now, an obvious step. Then don't make one. Just do whatever. It'll occur to you. What would that be? Well, maybe it's to start meditating. Maybe it's to go for a jog. Maybe it's to settle something in my life so that I feel more relaxed. Your life is perfect and you're exactly where you need to be, even if it's painful. Why? Well, just like the Buddhists say, pain, suffering, helps motivate you to look deeper. You're only in pain because you're not deeper. When you are deeper, the pain melts out. You're in the world, but not of it, but that doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It's just you don't suffer. It gets much better. Okay. I don't know if that's a lot, right? It was a good question, Len. Do any of you have, is there, when I'm just kind of talking, the monologue, I'm not sure how that's landing for you. Maybe you have your own question about that or something else, any of you. So please ask me if you do. And I can talk about it, because I don't know if I covered everything. Maybe something that I didn't cover, but you're curious about. Thank you, Len. Len says, so helpful. Thank you, Len. Maybe there's something you're curious about. And Patricia just donated something, and I really appreciate that, Patricia. Insight Timer likes me to mention that. And I'll tell you what happens. In my case, they have an option. And anything that would normally go to me, I can waive it and have it go straight to feed orphans in Bali. So, Patricia, your donation is nice. I feel good. Children in Bali will have an extra meal. So, thank you. Oh, Lynn, thank you for saying that. This is what Lynn says. I had a spiritual awakening 20 years ago, seemed to have lost it with the heaviness of life. Thank you, Lima, who donated some. Lynn, here's the thing. You didn't lose it. This is a normal experience that people have. They feel like they lost it. And in a sense, you did, but not really. And I'll explain that. What happened 20 years ago to you, this awakening, there was an opening at that point where you weren't blocking yourself and you could see what's always there. We are always perfect, always. The problem comes is in the lenses that we haven't let go of yet. And life then giving you that encouragement, you see yourself beautiful, and you could see clearly, beautiful 20 years ago. And then all this heaviness. Well, what is heaviness? Somebody that's awakened doesn't see heaviness. Heaviness is not happening for them. The events might happen, but it's beautiful. So you had it as heaviness because there was still stuff to work through. Remember, I said that anytime I feel anything but peace, love, and well-being, I know it's not me. So anything that's heaviness is not you. So life gave you an opportunity and is giving you an opportunity to keep meditating and melting that stuff away. You have a benefit that you've already gotten a glimpse of who you are. It's still there. There's just some more junk melting away. It's like you've got a one room in the house that's full of clutter. I mean, up to the top, socks and clutter and old furniture. And that room is obstructing your view. What we need to do is go in every day and take, like, maybe, not that you need to do, but what could be helpful, let's put it that way. Go in and just do what you can. A tiny baby step. Take out one pair of socks every day. Take out a piece of furniture. And it will clear. Now, Lynn says losses, cancer, physical limitations. Used to be able to hike, camp, trying to get back. I know, Lynn, it's hard. That's hard. It is. And it's what I'm saying is not an easy thing. We're in this world. It is not easy. And it's hard to do anything when you don't feel good. Very hard. But it's that not feeling good itself that's what's being released. So it's crucial to keep doing your meditations and letting that vibration out. You don't push it out. how do you let it out? By experiencing it. And I know, Lynn, it's in all the past podcasts, and I think you've listened to them. And so it's not easy. It's just sitting down every day and doing that. I tell these stories. Remember this Jesus story. I had 30 years before that of misery. I kept doing my spiritual thing, even that jog and even putting that water on my head. That was my spiritual, what I at that moment was working for me. I did other stuff too, but it was still miserable. I'm speaking to other people at the time, and I'm just keeping my nose above water. We all have good times and at the same time bad times. Sometimes it's more bad times than good times. But just keep on. You'll get an opening. Claire says the notion of being perfect as we are when one feels entirely imperfect with much yet to do, learn, fix even. Yes, I wanted to say that because the stuff is going by real fast. Sorry to be abrupt, Lynn. But Lima says, this was my first time here for a few minutes. Resonates so much. Listen to my podcast. They're on Insight Timer. We start with number 1. I think we're on number 70 now or something. It will inch you through all of this. And we do live podcasts from every couple weeks generally. So please join us anytime. Lynn says, yes, I listen. Thank you. I will let go of that past experience, wishing them back. No, I mean, it's the longing. Anything that troubles you, that's what to watch. That's the thing that you're letting go of. All the good that you experience, don't let go of that. It's still in there, if that makes any sense, Lynn. You're doing great. You're doing great. Lynn, all of you are doing great. Claire, though, had asked, well, when I feel imperfect, I'm paraphrasing now because it's gone by on the screen, but when I feel imperfect, well, what to do? Trust, and yet I feel so imperfect. Trust that everything's perfect when I feel imperfect. It's hard, but this whole feeling of imperfect, I promise you from my experience, and I can see this clearly because I could give anybody feeling imperfect a good run for their money in the past. That feeling of imperfect, that is a feeling. That is a hypnosis. That is a perspective. It will dissolve away in your meditations. Go back through the podcasts, and I explain step by step in so many different ways, and I will continue in the future podcasts. This is the crux, Claire, that everybody here, everybody in the world feels. Now, some people in the world, they're not even to where you are. They're not going inside to solve everything. They're looking to punish people on the outside because they think, well, I'm not happy. It must be you out there. Not so, but that's what they feel. Look what all of you are looking inside. That's huge. Huge. You may not appreciate that, how huge it is. You all are really well on the way, much closer than you think. Just like Jesus popped up to me, much closer than I thought. And I can talk to Jesus anytime I want now. I don't, because we're one. Why would I talk to him? But he's still my friend. It sounds very odd, I know. It's an odd thing to say, I know. But it's not a problem. He shows up every so often. We laugh, but it's a gesture because we're one. And if we make ourselves two, like I'm waiting for Jesus, blah, 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 I got to talk to Jesus. Now I'm two and separated, and it's a mess. So I don't do it. And I don't feel any urge to do it. Kate says, when I embraced my anger, it went away. Yes, Kate. When you embrace what's this trouble, let me put it in the opposite. When I don't embrace, when I repress and push it away, it doesn't go away. It just freezes inside of us and it pops out at bad times. By bad times, I mean life stimulates it. It seems like it's a bad time, but it's actually a great gift. In India, there's some gurus. There's a story, a guy came and slapped this guru in the face. In a public gathering, he just went up and slapped him. The guru thanked him because he felt anger. And it showed the guru that he still had anger. So we can thank life when it seems to be harsh and bad because it's bringing up in us to see anything that's not peace, love, and well-being. So when you see it, it does start to melt and go away. And so you're right, Kate. When I embraced it, it went away. Claire says, and ignore other people's expectations and demands. So, these things are hard. I mean, it's a middle ground. You can't treat yourself too harshly here. Because if I said something like, I'm not going to be influenced by people's expectations, that's just too high of a bar to me to jump over at first. Maybe I try to be 1% and stick with myself 1% better. Claire continues, demands of one to change, sort it out, move on, etc. Yeah, you're right on that. Those are impossible demands. You just do your best and tell the other person if you want to stay in relationship with them, I'm doing my best. This is what I'm doing. It's inch by inch. I'm not perfect. You may not like me right now, but I'm working on myself and being true to myself. And as I've become more clear, perhaps we get along better. But it's not because of you. It's because I'm just more clear and happy. Of course, you do care about the other person. Of course you do. And so it doesn't hurt to say I love you too. So thank you, Len, also for the donation. Yes, Claire, the middle way. Claire says thank you. Thank you, Claire. It's the middle way. It really is very easy on yourself. And in the spiritual world, every angle has a truth to it. I remember listening to one teacher, I think his name was Michael Reagan. And one thing that stuck with me, beautiful person. One thing that stuck with him, he said, everything you hear is true. It has some truth to it. How much of the truth is how much your heart opens. If it only opens a little bit, maybe it's only just a little true for you now. If your heart opens a lot, maybe it's very true for you now. But there's truth everywhere, was the point. Even if your heart just opens a little bit, that little bit that opens your heart, look at what that is. That's a truth. Okay, you all. Our hour is up. Thank you. And I want to thank you on behalf of the children in Bali, the orphans, but also these podcasts are not designed for you to have to pay for, from my vantage point. So don't feel at all ever like, oh, now I think I better have to donate. Don't do that. If it just flows out, great. But you got other things going on in your life. And I want to honor that too. So don't be hurting yourself in order to do something. Okay, thank you. we're going to have another podcast, another live session in 2 weeks. I'll post this one very soon. Lynn says, thank you. So helpful today. I appreciate your wisdom. I believe in giving back as we can. I do too, Lynn. You know, my wisdom is not my wisdom. It just is. I kept putting one foot in front of the other. And like I said, thank you for the Jesus question today. That did not come because I was looking for it in that way. It was a surprise. It was only because I just show up every day a little bit, a tiny bit, just what I could do, and not over what I could do, maybe under what I could do, but at least show up at all every day. That'll get you there. Trust yourself. Claire says, I'll work it out. Yes, when live is over, perhaps I'll see the button. Thanks, Claire, but it's all good. It's all good. And thanks for even caring to do that. Thanks. That's your heart speaking. Okay, everybody. I look forward to it. We'll be, again, a live session, same time, Saturday, 2 weeks from now. Please join. If any questions come up from you over the next 2 weeks, please just write it down and ask me, and we can talk about it. It's fun, huh? And this is the same wisdom that's in us all. And you could just as well be answering these questions, I promise you. On some levels, you can answer them better than I can. I know that. Because you have your own experience that will be more relevant to some people. I do the best I can. You do the best you can in your world. If you haven't listened to the podcast, I would. They're all free. And they're my best shot at trying to allow clarity from my vantage point anyway. Okay, thanks so much. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care. Bye. Hello, this is William. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please consider sharing it with somebody else. Send them a link. Thanks so much.